What's a bystander effect? It's people's tendency to be less likely to offer help in an emergency situation when there are others present. The more bystanders there are, the less likely we'll step forward to assist. Our brains are social organs and are highly sensitive to social norms and the behavior of others. When we're in a group and an emergency situation arises, we instinctively look to others for cues on how to respond. This is known as social referencing. If others are calm or indifferent, our brains interpret the situation as non-threatening, leading to inaction. We may ask ourselves, is this just me? This is a survival mechanism because responding to every potential threat would be exhausting and inefficient. The term bystander effect originates from a tragedy in 1946. Katie Genovese, a 28-year-old bartender, was brutally attacked outside her apartment building in New York City. The New York Times reported that 38 witnesses either saw or heard the attack, yet none of them intervened or called the police. Her murder led to the adoption of 911 system. However, it's worth noting that later investigations challenged the number of witnesses reported by the New York Times, leading to the newspaper to admit in 2016 that its initial reporting was flawed. One of the key factors contributing to the bystander effect is the diffusion of responsibility. When you're the only one around, the responsibility falls squarely on your shoulders. But when others are present, it's easy to assume that someone else will step in. This diffusion of responsibility can lead to a collective inaction, where everyone assumes someone else will take the lead. Imagine you're standing in line and someone cuts in front of you. You may think you'd immediately tell that person to move to the back of the line. But would you really? In a hidden camera experiment conducted in a busy store, most people did nothing more than look frustrated or make faces when someone cut in line. If I was in that hidden camera, that was me. How many people actually spoke up? Only 1 in 25 people. That's only 4%. The bystander effect plays a role in bullying, both in schools and workplaces. How frequently do bystanders step in and take a stand to protect the victims? One key factor is whether victims belong to the bystanders' social group. We tend to favor and show preferential treatment towards members of our own social group or in-group. We have a natural tendency to display positive attitudes, greater trust, and more favorable behavior towards members of our own group. The members who share the same characteristics, interest, or affiliation with us. The influence of the bystander effect becomes less pronounced when the victims share similarities with the bystanders. In an experiment conducted in public Swedish high school, students were significantly more likely to come to help victims who belong to their in-group. Another key factor that plays a role in the bystander effect is our vulnerability to anxiety, also known as trait anxiety. Trait anxiety is a stable predisposition or personality trait that reflects a person's tendency to experience anxiety across different situations and over time. It's a relatively stable characteristic that vary from person to person and influences how people perceive, interpret, and respond to stressors or potential threats in their environment. If it is a temporary or situational anxiety experienced in response to specific events or circumstances, we call it state anxiety. People with high levels of trait anxiety tend to have a consistent pattern of anxiety symptoms, even in non-threatening or low-stress situations. They're very sensitive to perceived threat or dangers, They are prone to anticipating negative outcomes, engaging in excessive worry, and experience physical symptoms of anxiety, such as increased heart rate, restlessness, and muscle tension. In the context of bystander effect, people who score high in trait anxiety are less likely to intervene and help victims, even if those victims belong to the same social group as the bystander themselves. In organizations, many issues go unaddressed, even though they're well known among employees. From misuse of funds to creating a hostile work environment, from corruption to sexual harassment, those open secrets often remain unchallenged due to the bystander effect. If you're the only one who is aware of a problem at work, you might feel more confident about speaking up. However, if you believe your colleagues are also aware of the problem, you may hold back, assuming someone else will raise the alarm. That is the bystander effect in action. By remaining silent, we inadvertently become part of the system that enables those transgressions. We all like to believe that we would be the one to step up, to speak out when the time comes. But to do so, we must overcome significant pressure, the pressure to conform, to not rock the boat, and to not risk our jobs. Leaders can help counter the bystander effect by making employees feel that their individual contributions are valued and by rewarding the acts of courage. In an organizational setting, promoting individual accountability means clearly defining roles and responsibilities for each team member. This can be done through detailed job descriptions, performance objectives, and regular feedback sessions. For example, a project team is working on a new product launch. If each team member's role and responsibilities are not clearly defined, important tasks may fall through the cracks because everyone assumes someone else will take care of them. To counter the bystander effect, you, as the project leader, can assign specific tasks to each team member. Adam is responsible for market research. Betsy is for product design. Casey is for marketing and promotion. With clearly defined roles, each team member knows exactly what they are responsible for. Another way to counter the bystander effect is to reward courage. It means recognizing and appreciating those who take initiative, speak up, and take action when necessary. This can be done through verbal recognition, awards, promotion, or other forms of positive reinforcement. If an employee notices a potential safety issue in the workplace and takes the initiative to report it and ensure it's addressed, that's an act of courage that should be rewarded. You should publicly thank the employee during a team meeting or company event, or even consider them for a safety award or a promotion. Unfortunately, employees who speak up are often treated with punishment and retaliation. An employee, Derek, notices a colleague misusing the company funds. Derek believes in transparency and honesty and decides to report the issue to his manager. However, instead of addressing the issue, the manager reprimands Derek for causing trouble and even threatens his job security. This response is not only unfair to Derek, who spoke up, but it also sends a clear message to the rest of the team. Those who speak up will be punished. In this scenario, the bystander effect is reinforced. Other team members, having witnessed the negative consequences faced by their colleague Derek, may decide to stay silent in the future, even when they notice unethical or problematic behavior. For them, it's safer to keep their mouths shut and do nothing than to risk retaliation. In closing, I'd like to add that despite the bystander effect, there is still a glimmer of hope. It appears that the more dangerous the situation, the more likely a bystander is to intervene. So while the bystander effect can lead to inaction in some situations, it's heartening to know that when the stakes are high, people's inherent desire to help those in need often shines through. Start observing your decision-making processes and those of others around you. See if you can find instances of bystander effect. Please feel free to share your comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.